Forrester. How is everyone today?
Yes, I'm sure. I hope you're all well. We've had a bit of a hiccup here this morning because we're in Australia and we don't have daylight saving here, and you have it over in America. So that's okay. It might mean for the next couple of shows we're an hour later than what we have posted, but it'll come up on Enlightened World daily listing of shows.
Only in Australia it'll be an hour later, Carol, not overseas.
Yeah. That's true. Thank you for being online there. So it's just been one of those mornings this morning. So
it has. But now we have something very beautiful to talk about.
We do. So we're going to talk about the elementals of water. And so the elementals of water are the undines, and the water sprites, and the divas, and the mermaids, and the mermen. And they all relate to the element of water. And the element of water represents the soul. And our soul is the realm of our spiritual treasures. Our sense of taste comes into play for our soul and water. And the soul holds the impulse to taste and savour the flavours of life in a deeper and more mysterious way. So how exciting is that? So when we think about that, and I just love the background Gabby's got there today. She has her little water diva or undine, whatever we want to call her, because it all means a similar thing. They're just like family members of the tribe. And I just love that background that Gabby's got today.
Yes, she's quite beautiful, isn't she?
She certainly is. And she looks so at home, which is what the water elementals are, no matter where they are, whether it's in the ocean like that or they're in a muddy puddle. And, you know, if you're walking down the street and there's been rain and there's a muddy puddle ahead and you get the sudden urge to jump in that muddy puddle, that's because the water sprites are sending you a little message intuitively. Come and join us and have fun. And I don't know about anyone else, but I really like jumping in muddy puddles, even if it splashes up all over you. I think it's part of the fun, because one of the things we need to do is to sort of play with our inner child, but also allow our own childlike essence to flow. And we can do that with the water sprites and the undines.
We can. They're very playful. I kind of liken the water sprites to like the sylphs, very fluidy, and it's the water spirits or the undines. They will come to the surface to get the sunlight, and they'll pull the sunlight in and then take it down into the water. But whenever they feel a bit of wind or something on the water, they'll feel the sylphs around. So they'll come up and they'll actually connect with the sylphs. So it's a little bit of earth energy and air energy and water energy all together. And then they take it back down into the water again. I found that really beautiful, that they come up and pull in the sunlight and take it back down again.
It is. It's amazing. And this just shows that the connection between all of the elementals. And, you know, all of the elementals work together, and they're just a wonderful example for us. And they all work together because they're here to help support us and the planet and to fight pollution. And the undines, they help to control the tides. So therefore, it only makes sense that they're controlled and connected to the moon, because our tides and the water are all connected to the moon. And then if you're a female, that affects you as well, because, you know, we're all affected by the moon as well. And water is all about emotion. And so, you know, when we, that's one of the exciting things about this show, Gabby, isn't it? It's just we can explore and we can look at how all of these connections merge together and how we can all work together as one, because all of the nature elements are here to help to clean up the planet. Because let's be honest, the planet has been in a bit of a mess. There's a lot of pollution and all of those things around. And, you know, one of the things that the undines do is they help to cleanse the waters. And these are waters that can have had industrial waste or chemicals and pesticides, even sewage, leaking sewage. and they cleanse that physical water. But that also then works on one of the elements of mankind, because they help to clean our emotional and our subconscious world. So, you know, they carry on their backs the weight of mankind's emotional pollution. Feelings when we're not peaceful, anger, emotional abuse, unloving speech, selfishness, anxiety, all of those things, you know, that's emotional pollution. And so, you know, if we can turn those thoughts and emotions around to love and kindness and gratitude and compassion, what a difference it would make to all of us.
Well, they're able to use the water as like self-purification. So that's what, you know, for us, for stress, unhappiness, sorrow, anxiety, depression, all that kind of thing, we can call them in to help us with all that kind of thing, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going through at the moment.
Yeah. And we know that if we go and we're near, I find that I get the most beautiful energy when I'm near the water. And it doesn't matter if it's a lake, if it's the ocean, it's a river, it doesn't matter. But to be able to, even if you can't put your feet in the water, just to be able to sit there and soak in the energy that's coming from the undines and the water sprites, but also from the sylphs and from everybody combined. And that energy helps us to come into another place, a place that we can be at peace. And that's one of the really important things for our future, for our ascension. And so, you know, I find that, you know, water energy to the earth is what blood is to the human body. Yeah. And so we have ley lines, but we also have the water channels that are under the ground as well. Yeah. And, you know, it's just amazing. I'm just sitting here looking at my little dragon. I find it just amazing when we stop and think about the connection to the human race.
Well, our blood is, I think, 80% water. Yeah. So, you know, we and even the only time they leave the water is if they have like water vapor or mist. They can actually come out of the water and go through that. Each little raindrop has a water spirit in it. And then when you get big downpours, you get the bigger ones because they're able to move in and out through the sheets of rain. Yeah, yeah. And I found it really interesting too that when the water heats up, they become more active. And when it gets really cold, when it freezes, because each water area has its own water spirits and they don't leave there. They don't leave their place and go somewhere else. And if it freezes, then they actually become crystalline, and in their bodies will go smaller and less noticeable and more or less become dormant while the ice is there. But when they do that, their auric field spreads right out. And when you look in ice and you see all the colours and things like that reflecting out, that's the water sprites' auric fields that have. So when they're dormant, their auric fields spread out, and that's how they use their energy, is creating lights and things like that. And also because I have a great affinity for the ocean, and when I was learning about them, I found it really interesting that as you sort of go to the bottom depths, the ocean is hugely unknown to us because we're not in it, you know. We're on the earth and we see all these things all the time, but there's still so much to learn about the ocean. And the water elementals in the ocean are much like the marine life. The ones that live down in the depths of the ocean where it's black, no sound, no movement, and that, they pretty much as you go further to the surface, the elementals ascend. So the ones that are at the bottom don't really do very much. You know, they float around. They're not even really have a form. You know, they're just a few particles that kind of float around. Then as you move up through the layers of the ocean, there's different levels of them and they do different things. And so then you get to the top layers of the ocean, and that's where the really fluid, active, because they're interacting with the sun, the air and everything else, they're more active, and they're probably more the ones that we see more often. But I found that really interesting that, you know, even they, you know, according to their environments, and when they're in rivers and the rivers dry up, they will go right down into the earth to where there's even a little bit of moisture, and they'll just lay there dormant until water comes back into the river or, you know, lake or whatever. So they're pretty versatile, you know.
Well, yeah, they are. And it's when you look at sacred sites where there's water, wells and special sacred sites, they have their own water sprites, and they're called delphinians.
Yeah.
And the delphinians are the ones who work with the sacred wells and the sacred sites, and that's why there's such really strong and beautiful energy in those places.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I had to smile at when I was looking around for the stuff, it was about this person had asked a question, and they said, but what about when I drink a glass of water? Am I drinking a water sprite? And you know, that's exciting because we stop and think about Dr. Masaru Emoto and his experiments with water. And, you know, the fact that when we give love and hold the glass and send love to that water, then the crystals in it are completely different. So therefore the water sprites that are within it are completely different. So then when we drink that water is bringing love into our body, and the sprites are also coming into our body because of the fact we're 80% water. Yeah. And so the more water we can drink, the better we are, rather than going and drinking that cup of coffee or something or other else, which we all do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, the water is so good for us because of what's contained within it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And see, like our we have minerals and water and all that kind of thing in our body, which is quite likened to seawater. You know,
yes.
Seawater or any water has minerals and things like that in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, we also need a certain amount of salt, so that's why the ocean, because it has the salt in it, that's why so much healing happens when you go into the ocean. Because, you know, the salt water as well as the sprites are working together in that instance.
Yeah.
So, and
absolutely.
one of the other water elementals that I find quite interesting are mermaids and mermen. And, you know, it's really interesting. And, you know, as they said, in years gone by, the ancient sailors would hear the singing and the cry and the noise when they were on the ship. And they likened that to the mermaids. And sometimes, you know, they took it as a negative thing, but in reality, it was a positive thing. And, you know, it also brings in seals and all of the sea lions and things. And, you know, I read years ago a beautiful story about from women who run with wolves, and it was about a sailor, a mermaid, but she was also a special soul, and she came on land with a group of other mermaids, and they would sing to the sailors and to the sea and to everything, but they would take their seal skin off to become the people who were singing the song. And it was the most amazing story because she was captured by a human and he took her skin away, and it was how she got her skin back and how she went back into the water. And she had a son, and she taught the son to be able to, he could breathe under the water because she was his mother. And There's some amazing stories about mermaids, and she sort of is on the edge of being a mermaid and whatever else kind of spirit would come out of the water. But to me, that's what she was. She was more a seal, but she was a mermaid, and then she became a human when she... It's a fascinating story. It is an amazing story. So
I found
there's many.
Go on, sorry.
And there's so many stories like that out there. If we just want to explore more, and people can do that in their own time if they're interested. So as we found, there's so much to find when you just go looking, isn't there?
Absolutely. One of the things I found is mermaids, like sometimes they get a fairly bad rap, don't they?
They do.
As
and
being
I don't know
quite
why.
aggressive and nasty. But like, quite honestly, I think it was the sailors of the time. You know, they would have these beautiful mermaids present themselves to them and wanted to take them and do what, you know, show them to the world and all the rest of it. The mermaids didn't want to do that.
No.
And being ripped from your home, and of course they're going to get angry and upset with you.
But also, you know, I think there was a lot of fear from the sailors, and so so any stories they wrote about the mermaids came from their fear.
Yes.
And so therefore the stories didn't give a true impression of the mermaids and who the mermaids were, because you know, if a ship was wrecked or something, you know, the water sprites and undines and mermaids and everybody would be helping to save the sailors. So, you know, I think that we need to look at the positives in life so much more than what we have for a while. And so that brings me to the fact I've got a little channeled message from the water sprites. So if you like, I'll read that now, because I think it's really, really interesting. And this was written a few years ago. It was written in 2014, but it's so relative to now. So that it goes like this. We are delighted you are communicating with us as few do. And now is the time when our Mother Earth, is starting to rise in vibration. More and more humans are being enlightened and not being sucked in by the propaganda that has held humanity trapped at the lower vibrational state through fear, prejudice, and anger. As water elementals, we are connected to Mother Earth's emotional body, and thereby the emotional bodies of all sentient beings, human, animal, trees, to name a few. The negative emotions stored deep within, which lowers humanity's and animals' light quotient, which is the level of light you have in your body, have been brought to the surface to be witnessed. For by witnessing, they become consciousness and can be released and let go of if the soul chooses. Our advice is to take these opportunities. Harness now the energies that bring this enlightenment, for never have souls had such growth opportunities while incarnate. Go to water, call upon us and ask our energy to help you release that which no longer serves. Fast-moving water gives us greater energy to be of assistance, but even if you cannot get near the water, say the following invocation, which will bring our energy closer to you. And I'll read that at the end of this. Being in your heart center is so important. The ego mind tries to distract, for in the heart, you become aware of your infinite source of creation. You feel connected rather than isolated. You feel love rather than hate. And the lower emotions can only take hold through the ego self. As humanity moves towards an egoless state and starts to reconnect with the natural world rather than plundering it, great changes occur as we all move into a higher vibrational state of being. So much sickness occurs within your race due to these pent-up negative emotions. Each soul has a choice, but soon the big shift occurs and the choice becomes less. Our advice is to do the work now, or be stuck at the lower vibrational state. So seek bliss and hold the light. So here's the invocation, and we'll put it in the comments so you can have it for a later use. I call upon the energy of the water sprites to assist me with my emotional clearing today. Please support the releasement from my emotional body and surround me in divine love, light now. Thank you. So I just thought that was really a beautiful channeled message from the water sprites, and so relevant, even though it was channeled through a few years ago. It's so relevant to where we are now.
Oh, and isn't that happening a lot lately?
Yeah.
That things years ago are still very relevant for the world today.
And that's because as we're ascending, because we're all ascending, and Mother Earth is also ascending, and so the things that as yet haven't been healed are still coming to the surface to be healed, because they need to be healed before we can continue our ascension. So that's why a lot of these things they're coming to remind us again, okay, you haven't fixed this up yet, guys. We need to fix this up. And so, you know, it's a really good reminder, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. They're still saying, hello, we're here.
Yeah, that's right. And how lucky we are. How lucky are we?
Absolutely. You just need to open up your energy field and allow them, and they will come in. They will come in.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Because, you know, we need to think about the fact that, you know, this is water, it's emotion, it's our soul. And yes, we have free will and choice in this lifetime. But it's also up to us to live to the best of our abilities. And by doing all of that and working with the nature sprites, all of them, all of the elementals, we're helping ourselves as well as Mother Earth. Because look what happens when you go to the beach, when we walk out into the forest, when we do any of these things, or even if we go to these places in meditation, you know, how good do we feel? And that's because, you know, that they're recognizing that we recognize them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're starting that communication up.
Yeah. And our energy combines with Gaia's energy and all her elementals and everything. So if we're raising ours, we're raising her up at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
And then,
yeah, and this is it. And so, you know, we're lifting up the universal consciousness. I know that's a word that's used a lot, but that's because that's what it is. And you know, when we look at the world, you know, when it's sort of wrapped in a world of love and kindness and compassion, it's so beautiful. We don't have those heavy areas of anger and depression and you know, all of those other horrible words that you know are sort of around. But you know, we want to be able to sort of calm all of those things.
Absolutely. And when you make connections with the elementals, it puts tools in your tool bag, you know, so that when you're in that place, you can pull things out of your tool bag, and it helps you to get out of that space a lot quicker. You know, we're all going to be in those horrible spaces, but it's the amount of time that you allow yourself to spend there. And I know I was good at it. I could spend like 2.5 weeks there. No problem at all. But now, like, you know, I recognize it and I think, okay, I'm going to pull the tool out or something. And then it's gone.
That's right. We have got amazing tools at our disposal. You know, as well as having all of the angels and our spirit guides and teachers, and we have our elementals and our totem animals, and then we have all the tools that go along with it. You know, it's just, I just love being able to just walk out into the yard and just feel the energy of the trees and the plants. And you know what it's like when you dig in the garden And you know, it's just when we look at all of these things with different eyes, you know, it
Yes.
makes a world of difference to how we feel inside.
Oh, look, I do the same thing. Every morning I go out and sit in my front yard. I've got a little spot that I sit, and because I'm usually awake before the sun comes out. So I go and sit out there with my cup of tea and wait for the sun to come out and say good morning to her. But just taking a lungful of the air and just quietening your mind for a minute and appreciating what you've got out there. I mean, I walk out to my front yard. I live in a suburban area, so you know there's not fields of beautiful flowers or trees or anything like that, but you still, you know, people's gardens and the trees and the clouds and the air and everything else, you still get that beautiful sense of Gaia.
You do. And because, you know, you're feeling her energy and you're looking at it differently to what you used to look at it.
Yeah,
and you know, if you are feeling down and you don't have the water to go to or anything like that, go and talk to a tree. You know, everything is there for us once we start connecting with the nature spirits and the elementals. And, you know, that's what you and I are hoping to share with everybody, so we can give them that toolbox, that extra kit in their toolbox. And so, you know, life is just so exciting when we do all of those things, isn't it?
Well, I was, for people that don't have water around them, I've been experimenting over the last few days. So I was trying to connect with them. And so I got a glass of water and stuck my fingers in it and just sat with my fingers in the water, because and then you notice that your fingers are doing this in the water while you're sitting there. And yeah, so, you know, stick your fingers in your water.
Because they're very playful. They're very
playful. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And another thing that's interesting to do is to, you know, you can do it in the sink or you can just do it in a bowl and put some waters in it. And you know, it's called scrying, and you look at the water and it's amazing what they show you through the water. You don't need this expensive crystal or anything like that. Water will do exactly the same thing. And it's just like when we look up at the clouds and the silts, the silts are beautiful. And so, you know, we're just so blessed, aren't we?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you
once you open yourself up and start looking at them, they're just so magnificent.
They are. And something as simple as doing the washing up, you know, as you put the water in the sink and you squirt the bubbles in and you look at it and you think, wow, and you can see all these little things in the water and all of that. So something that you could think of as quite boring. I could do the washing up. I don't feel like doing the washing up, but you can turn it into fun.
Absolutely.
So it's really up to you what you do. So yeah.
Well, I've started showing gratitude for every little thing I do. So when I wash the dishes now, I am grateful that I have a sink to wash my dishes in. I'm grateful that I can just flip the tap and water comes out. And, you know, I'm grateful for all of that.
Yeah.
That I can just do that, you know. There's a lot of people that can't just walk up to their sink, flip the tap and start washing their dishes. They can't do that. So, yeah, we're very lucky.
So do you want to do the meditation now?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if everybody gets in a little comfortable position, so you have your little wriggle now so that you find your spot. And then we're just going to take a couple of nice, big, deep breaths in. And I need them particularly because I've been running around all morning. So we'll start with that. Really sigh it out too. Let it all out. And then if you can just softly close your eyes and allow your breathing just to bring you into your center, into your heart space. Another deep breath and just let go and let it relax you and sink you in. And then as you let your body return to just normal breathing pattern, I want you to sort of imagine that we're sitting on a beach. You're in your favorite spot on a beach, or if you don't have a favorite beach that you can go to, just create one visually in your head. So we're going to stand on the beach, just breathing in and out, and you'll notice that your breathing is going in and out with the in and out of the waves. You can look around, take in the beautiful blue sky, the sounds of the water, the warm sand under your feet. And we're just going to slowly stroll down to the water's edge and have a seat. And I just want you to raise your knees in front of you so that your feet are flat on the ground. And we're right on the water's edge. So the water is going to come up and touch your toes and go back down again. And each time it comes up again, it will come up a little bit further. And as we're doing this, I'm going to call in Archangel Jophiel, because she is very connected with the elementals. So we're going to call her in and call in the water elementals. And they are going to surround you as you're relaxing there, enjoying the water coming up into your feet. And just breathe and relax. And as you sit there, the sprites and all the water divas will start to circle around you and start doing their healing magic inside of you. And I just want you to sit there and breathe. And we're going to concentrate on our feet. And as I said before, I just want you to remember that our blood is about 80% water. So as you focus on your feet, I just want you to imagine that rather than blood running around through them, we have water. The water that's coming up and meeting your toes and your feet is now entering and rolling around in your feet where your blood should be. You can begin focusing on the sensations, and then you can extend the flowing sensation up to your lower legs. Just pull that water up through your legs, to your knees. And then another deep breath in and pull it up to your hips, through the tops of your legs. Another deep breath in and we'll pull it right up into our heart center. You may feel tingling, a bit of warmth, a bit of movement, because the water elementals will begin to do some healing on you. And as they do that, I just want you to listen to my words. Water is soothing, nurturing, renewing, healing, serene, calming, refreshing, bringing to life and making fully alive, innocent and vivacious. Selfishness, jealousy and resentment are all foreign to water. You may feel it's effortless to sense a connection between the flowing water in your body and the images of nature, such as a mountain waterfall, a stream, a river, lakes, an ocean bay, and the sea. You can also, at the moment, use the water to drop your temperature or raise your temperature just by focusing on the water and cooling it down or warming it a little bit, just to make you a little bit more comfortable. So just for a moment, I just want you to sit, breathe, listen to the ocean, take deep breaths of that beautiful, refreshing air, and let Jophiel and the water elementals work their magic on you. You may feel tingling. You'll definitely feel a great sense of love. They'll surround your auric field and your energetic body. They'll flood it with love. You can feel wriggling your toes. You can feel the sand. I like to put my hands down into the sand to feel the warmth. Maybe you can hear little giggles and things. They're very mischievous, the water spirits, playful. The water spirits are collecting all that doesn't serve us, all the lower vibrational energy in our bodies. The water sprites are collecting it into the water that we've pulled up from the ocean. And in a moment, we're going to take some deep breaths. And as we release, as we let the breath out, we're going to release and we're going to push that water back down out of us. And it's just going to flow back through into the ocean, out of our toes into the ocean. And the water elementals are going to transmute it and put it back into positive energy into the ocean. So we'll take 3 deep breaths now, and I want you to just visualize pushing the water down out of your body and back into the ocean. And with it, it will take anything that's yucky or stuck and will leave you with a great sense of peace and calm and love. So we'll take another deep breath now and push it down. Another deep breath in and let it go. One more time. And as you do that, you'll feel this great sense of them being around you, surrounding you. They have so much love for us. So as they step back and pull those negative energies back into the water so that they can work with them, when you're ready, start wriggling your toes, getting a little bit of movement back, bringing yourself back into your heart space. Open your eyes and have another look around at that beautiful ocean. And I'm pretty sure they're all jumping out of the water to say hello to you now. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and we'll just say thank you. Thank you for the connection. Thank you, Jophiel, for bringing them to us. And we love you.
That was beautiful, Gabby. Beautiful. I could feel the love all around me, and it was just lovely. And then when we were letting go, it was like these little electric things were coming out from each of my toes and disappearing and transmuting. It was beautiful.
Yeah. And now that you've done that, it's very easy to just close your eyes, put yourself back in that energy again, and instantly they'll be there. They'll instantly be there for you. And they are so loving, you know, they're very playful, but they're so loving that it's, I don't know about you, but I felt them.
Yeah, I could feel it. It was just beautiful.
My arms are still tingling. Thank you, Terry. And we're saying, and we have Jessica and Terry with us, Carol.
Oh, hi, Jessica. Hi, Terry. Glad you could be here with us today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So please connect with them and call on them. You know, water is such an amazing thing to work with, and the elementals that come along with it are just absolutely mind-blowing, and the energy is so magical and beautiful. It really fills you up and puts you in a great place.
Yes, it's just wonderful, and all that they do for us is really amazing. When we just allow it to happen, it's happening without us allowing it to happen.
Yes.
But when we're conscious of it and we can feel it happening, you know, then that is really beautiful. Really beautiful.
You do have to ask them. You have to allow them to come in. I mean, we all have free will, so they're not just going to jump in and start doing things on you without your consent. So, you know, just acknowledge them and say anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Nothing, they can't harm us. They can't, all they can do is aid us and love us and lift us up. So
it's just like the angels. It's like the angels and our spirit guides. We need to ask them to come in, and they can't do anything unless it's for the highest good.
Absolutely.
And so we're always protected in every way, no matter what happens and what we do. And it's always up to us, because, you know, they can give us messages of how they can help us, but then we have to choose to allow that to happen. And so it's when we start to choose to allow that to happen, that's when everything gets exciting. So yeah. But I wanted to share something with you, Gabby, and everybody. This is a very practical thing, but when we look at how we work with the elemental realms and the water divas and things, it's about the blue whales, which are so amazing in our world. And you and I, we have the whales coming down each side of the Australian coast at this time of year.
Yeah.
Because they're going down to breed, and then when they've bred, they bring their calves along, and it's just beautiful to watch the whales. And see, this is it, the currents in the water are what guides the whales to where they need to be, as well as their own innate radar system that they have built into them. This little article I found, and it just grabbed me. It really did. Something curious is going on with the songs of the blue whales in the oceans all over the world, because I'm just adding a bit here, we know that the whales and the dolphins sing the harmony of Mother Earth, and this is all about Mother Earth being harmonious, and the whales and the dolphins have always done that. The whales are singing their same old songs, but year by year they're shifting to a lower frequency. This has come from National Geographic's journal. The blue whale is the largest creature ever to have lived on Earth, but it doesn't follow that everything about them is easy to detect and figure out. The theories on the change in their song's frequency range from the effect of global warming to the increase in ship traffic to rising populations of the mighty creatures. So there's more and more blue whales. But then again, it could be something to do with boy meets girl, because only the male blue whales sing. So
Oh,
the
wow.
ability, I didn't know that till I read it either. The
Yeah.
ability to sing at a low frequency and make the song carry a long way is one indicator of a large body size. And this might be something that the female whales may favour. But when we stop and we look at what's happening there on a spiritual level, I believe, the deep frequency that their song vibrates at is part of our ascension.
Yeah.
And this is to help us to shift our ancestral patterning. And so, this is another way that the creatures of the ocean, as well, the live whales, etc., as well as the elementals, the water elementals, which are live as well, but they're just in a different dimension to what we are. And this is why not everybody can see them. But boy, when you allow yourself to, you can certainly feel them. It's like the angels as well. They're in a different dimension to what we are, but we know they're there. And more and more people are waking up to the angels and their spirit guides. And I'm hoping that by us talking about it and sharing about the nature spirits, that more and more people are going to relate to the nature spirits. And also for the children to be able to relate to the nature spirits. You see children playing on the beach and they're having such fun. And it's just so exciting to watch. And now we can just think about the fact those children, we can see the children playing, but we can also know that the water divas and the undines and everybody are playing in the water with them. Yes. And how exciting is that? Oh. Whether it's a little pool in their backyard that's only a tiny bit deep or it's a big ocean, it's still there. It's amazing. Absolutely.
It is. I think that point you just made about the whale song, working with our energy ascension, I've got someone saying that's a really important thing. And it brought to mind for me many years ago, I was in Perth and happened to be in Fremantle, and there was a massive American naval ship docked in there. And my girlfriend and I, we were staying in Fremantle, and we'd been out for dinner, and we decided to have a walk down. We didn't know the ship was there. Decided to have a walk down along the harbour because it was beautiful. And we came across an American soldier. Sailor, sorry. And anyway, long story short, we ended up in and I don't even know what you call it, the control room of the ship. I don't know what you call it.
That'll do.
Yeah. So he actually got the sonar up, and we had earphones on, and he picked up dolphins and whales and let us listen to them. And it's so etheric, isn't it? There's the sound, and it just takes you to another place. And that's what they're telling me, that we need to listen to that, the whale song. So I'm going to do, thank you, because I'm actually going to do that today.
So another thing is they're saying to me as well, because I'm sort of being aware of the time, but as we're ascending, what is happening too, our DNA is changing as we're ascending. Yes. And so this is also helping to shift those ancestral patterns that we've carried on through generation after generation after generation. And so sometimes when we're feeling a little bit out of whack, we need to just breathe and go within and allow ourselves to get rid of what is needing to leave our bodies, which is what you do in meditation. So it's like peeling off the layers of the onion. But we sort of stop and think our DNA that's our DNA, and that's what it looks like, and it's going to be like that forever. But it's not, because we're ascending, and as we're ascending, our DNA is changing. And it's so exciting when you think about all of these things. And the nature sprites and the spirits and everybody. It's all part of this exciting time we're living. We're so blessed to be here, to be incarnated at this time. We truly are.
Yes. If you want an interesting read, we don't have time to talk about this now, but something else I came across is if you want an interesting read, look up Tales of Mer Women. Oh, I'm going all funny. I don't know why.
You are. On you.
Oh, I've got the window closed. It's very interesting. There's a lot of oh, that's really awful. There's a lot of tales of women who have mermaids who are now in women's bodies.
Yep.
And it's a really, really interesting read. So if you've got time, have a look for it and look it up because it's really interesting. I do, before we go, I do want to do our prayer at the end.
That's really good. Yep.
Do you have anything else that you...
No, look, I think that, you know, what amazes me is we start this show because we're not really planned about it and it just happens. And to me, that's exciting. And I think that we've covered a lot of things today. And if people want to ask us any questions, just put it in the comments and we will answer those questions for you. It might be for a day or not be for a day or two, but we will answer the questions. And so we want to get your interest up. That's what this is all about. We want to help and share with you what an amazing world of nature sprites and spirits there are out there.
We want you to connect.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. All right, well, I'm going to do our prayer.
Okay.
And so then at the end of the show.
Sorry, we'll just chat up for a second about next show.
Oh, go on.
No, at the end.
I'll do this first?
Yeah.
See, we're not scripted. We just do it as we feel. All right. Prayer to heal millions of elementals. In the name of my mighty I Am presence and my higher self, and by the love, wisdom, and power of the flame within my heart, I call forth the action of transmutation by the fire of my being, multiplied by the violet flame. I call forth this action on behalf of all elemental life. I call for that portion of the flame I invoke and all that I am to go forth now to heal millions upon millions of elementals in the earth. I dedicate my life stream to the liberation of all elemental life, and I accept it done this hour in full power according to the will of God. Amen.
That's beautiful.
I'd just like to add that prayer is from Elizabeth Clare Prophet. It's beautiful, though. I love it.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. So our next show is going to be in Australia on the 9th of December, and in the US it'll be the 8th of December.
And it's... Say it! It's
the Dragon Show!
It's the Dragons!
Oh, look, my life has changed so much since the Dragons came into it. It's just fantastic. And we are just both so, as you can tell, excited about the Dragon Show. So in the US, because of daylight saving, it'll probably be 9 p.m. And in Australia, we will stay the same time at 10 a.m. No, it's 11 a.m. in Australia. Because we're now... Yeah. Oh, that's right, because they're
8 in the US.
8 in the US and 11 in Australia.
9 for me, because Carol and I are on opposite sides of Australia.
And so, so we are both very excited about that. And then our last show before Christmas, which is going to be on the 23rd in Australia, 22nd in the US, is all about the dryads and the tree spirits. So that's another exciting one.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we need to talk to Ruth and to Terry about continuing on next year. Do you
Yeah.
agree? I
Yeah.
think that there's so much we can bring, and because we've still got to do things on the unicorns and all sorts of things like that.
Oh,
So
there's so much.
there's a whole beautiful world out there. So you know, it's just, I feel just so blessed to be here with Gabby and to be doing this, and our enthusiasm about it all is pretty equal.
Yeah, it is. So just go outside today, take a deep breath in, allow them, and they'll come and visit. And it's beautiful.
It is beautiful, truly.
You're doing yourself an injustice if you don't.
Yep. And it's so easy, as Gabby said, you know, she just put her fingers in a glass full of water if she couldn't, because she couldn't, wanted to try and see what it was like. So it's any of these things, and go into meditation and do all of this stuff, because they're just there waiting to come and visit you and to cheer you up and to support you in all that you do.
Uplift you. Absolutely. They're all about uplifting. We've got Terry's backing. She said, please continue.
Thank you, Terry.
All right. Well, we better hop off so that we can let the next. We've got Chanting for Change coming up next.
Excellent.
So if you would like to participate in the chanting to clear, I'm not allowed to say the name of the pandemic anymore. We're referring to it as Aurora Rose.
Right.
So if you would like to chant to help with Aurora Rose, it's coming up next on Enlightened World Network.
Thank you for today, Gabby. It's a delight as usual.
Carol.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Lots of love coming your way, and see you all in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you so much, everybody, and love your work, Carol.
Love your work too. Love you.
All right.